Good afternoon and welcome to The Difference. I am Lyndon Wilson, your host. I got some really high level people here with me today. I want to tell you a little bit about what The Difference is. It's a show created for real estate agents, small business owners, and entrepreneurs. And we focus on subjects that are important in our chase for exceptionalism. Each week, we focus on the subjects that can give an advantage in customer service, business to business referral relationships, and of course, how you impact your industry. So I want to start off today by introducing our guest. First, across from me, we have Brian Dobbs. Brian, introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, thanks, Lyndon. I actually am a speaker and author. So I just published my book in September. Super excited about it, and work with individuals, helping them grow and develop, and do a lot of coaching.
All right. Brian does have a new book called Uniquely Called, and I'm reading that now. Was fortunate enough to be invited to the book launch, so I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And next to Brian, we have Adam Terrell. Adam, along with his wife Liz, are the creators of the Real Estate Triangle, and this is real happy to have these two be a part of what we're trying to do, because a lot of what we're trying to do that we feel like makes the difference is having the good partnerships, strategic partners and things like that. And Adam and Liz have created a platform to bring those people together, especially in the real estate industry, so that we can seek out the people that are going to help us become better, build more of a network and a team. So Adam, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, thanks, Lyndon. That is sort of that in a nutshell. And I'm the marketing director for Liz, who is a real estate agent. So we started the Real Estate Triangle to be a network of home industry professionals, painters, plumbers, roofers, electricians, moving companies, insurance agents, so on and so forth. And it's just absolutely exploded because we're finding that people are very desperate, and especially in the home industry, to make connections, to share those client referrals, to better themselves as an individual. You're as good as who you know,
Right.
And that's sort of what we learn. And people are enjoying coming together to build their sphere, to build their team.
Right. And then within that group, I know that there is a lot of validity to who's who you'd want to partner with. That's the great part about it, is you're not blind going in. There's referrals, there's recommendations, there's reviews and everything like that. So I think that's very good. Sitting next to me is one of our sponsors and my co-host today, James Kern with Delicate Moving. James has been, this is your third time?
Yes.
All right. You're becoming a pro.
I'm trying.
Third time on the show. James, tell everybody who you are and who Delicate Moving is.
Yeah, James Kern here. We are Delicate Moving. We're an independently owned local moving company. We service the entire Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and basically the entire state of Texas. So if you're coming to the Metroplex or leaving the Metroplex, we can take care of your move. We offer storage. We've got full service packing, unpacking. We're working with a lot of people who have been were victims of the tornado because of our full service abilities to go in and pack them up, provide a quality, safe storage, and then to return their items to them and put them back in their home exactly the way they were prior to the storm. So, yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
All right, good deal. So we're going to talk today about building value in the marketplace. And just to kind of kick this off, let's talk a little bit about what it is. What is value in the marketplace? We've all heard it. Who wants to start first as far as talking a little bit about defined value? What does that look like? What does it feel like?
I'll go first. I think what we're seeing, especially in the home industry, is that there are two ideas of that, what value in the marketplace is. And one is appearance and one is performance. And it's really, really easy to appear like you have value. It is not so easy to perform and prove that value.
Excellent. I like that.
Great.
What do you think, Brian?
I agree with that. I think that when we're looking at value, I've said this numerous times in my classes, that there's not a company out there that's going to raise their hand and say I have bad customer service. I mean, 100 out of 100 companies surveyed,
I'm a terrible partner or a bad customer.
they're not going to say I'm the worst. I'll never call you back. I'll never do that. But when you really look at value, to me, it's the character. No different than the character of the individual. It's the if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I look inward and really focus on that personal development, and did I call them back? Was I a person of integrity? Was I a person of character? Is that something, I know it's intangible and not necessarily measured, but it's always seen to me. So I can offer value in XYZ product or service, but if I am on the back end of it, not producing like I need to, then I think that I'm incongruent. So I want to be congruent in offering value, so it's not just an appearance sake, but it is true performance on, hey, listen, if you see me in one way, then you can bank on it that it's going to happen.
Well, that kind of goes to our brand too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, without that, we have a very weak brand. And one of the things that I've really been aware of is in the marketplace with small business owners, real estate agents, they are consumed with the term and phrase branding. Okay, everybody wants to have a brand because we feel like that does a lot of our selling for us, which it should if it's done correctly. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. And one of the things that I've talked about before on the show is your behavioral brand, which is what we're talking about today.
Right.
Okay, not your tagline, not your logo, how you perform in the marketplace. You mentioned the appearance versus substance or performance. Why do you guys believe or feel that we have gone so far to the side of appearance, over performance, or have we? Do you feel like that's a problem?
I think in some cases it is. I don't think everybody's like that, but I think that, I mean, me included, as a business owner and, as a parent and as a dad, I always want to make sure that I'm performing the way I need to perform, that I'm stepping up to the plate, that I'm a man of integrity, a man of character, ethics, and morals and values that is on display. And in that transaction, once I come to it, regardless if it's coaching or speaking or whatever it may be, then the purity of that actually, what I feel, offers value and substance. It gets people coming back.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask these guys a question. I mean, are you finding it difficult, or is it pretty easy to find the clients, to match yourself with clients that appreciate and want value? Because I think that's part of it. I know we struggle in that. So how do you guys, because sometimes people define value, like in our industry, value to them sometimes when I walk into someone's home and they've got a home that needs all the furniture moved, I mean, they're purely shopping price only. And so value isn't defined about the quality of the move until something happens. And so it's hard to find customers that understand that value is not just price, and that all movers aren't created equal, so to speak. So how do you guys in your industry, are you finding it a challenge, or is it, or how do people define value in your industry?
I think that's got to be part of the sales process. I think that's got to be part of who you are. I mean, you're right. I think that people are so consumed with price, but they all want value. You give somebody a cheap price and screw something up and see what happens.
Absolutely.
They want the most they can get for what they're paying. Mm-hmm. And so I think I think that we get lazy sometimes. I think that we forget because we are focused on our value, and we just assume that everybody understands that and want it. But I think that I think in everything we do nowadays, especially with social media, I think that you have to people are shopping, they're looking around, and I think our responsibility is to educate them on. That's why we are the difference.
Right.
Yeah, if you're looking for a cheap price, it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, call me when your stuff breaks or whatever it is that when you're not getting what you want, when the car doesn't run after 6 months, call me, because I'm going to give you a car that does. All right, so that's the value. What do you think about that? I mean, you're sitting there on how many people are in the real estate triangle?
Collectively, about 3,000.
Okay.
The
So
Dallas group itself has just gone over 2,000 in the Facebook group.
that's fantastic. That's a lot of people. And so you get to see
Every
the gamut, right?
every possible scenario, and something that I want to bring up, and James, to your question, and you guys know we discussed this a bit off air before, but when you're a small business owner, you are the brand. Lyndon, you mentioned this.
Yeah.
So, and then building off what Brian said, that personal development, to build a brand is not to have a flashy Facebook page. It's not to have cute Instagram memes. There are marketing things that companies are doing, and they're spending all their time, effort, and energy into looking really, really good. But at the end of the day, they're still a small business owner. Therefore, the owner is the brand.
Okay.
And it is the people who are working on personal development, that character, that those principles, the values, and can communicate that to correlate to the cost of their services. Those are the successful people, and that is not easy to do.
Right.
That is not easy to do. And so there is a huge segment of the public that goes to the service industry and says, who's the cheapest?
Right.
But no one wants bad service, and no one wants a bad product. And so we have to be able to communicate the fact that I may cost more because I provide more or better service. And this is how, X, Y, and Z. And that communication, I think, is what's lacking.
Okay. I think it is. You're right. Because I think the first thing that when we talk about value, I think being able to be trusted. So if you trust me when I'm telling you that I'm going to take care of you in a way that no one else is, based on my pricing, and you trust that, I think that's one of the personal development things that we've got to focus on. Are we coming across in our behavioral brand? Again, we're building this brand because the more that we are honest and can back up that honesty, we do what we say we're going to do. You started the show talking about that. The tighter our brand gets, the deeper our brand gets, and the broader that our brand gets. And I think that one of the first things that has to start is the trust level.
Right.
Can I trust this company? When you go to McDonald's, you trust that you're going to get exactly what you're going to get. You trust that the ice cream machine is not going to work too. That just normally happens at McDonald's, or it does when I go. But
Somebody's telling you something, Lyndon. I mean, I'm just saying.
yeah,
No ice cream available for you.
Golly, what are you trying to say? But that's what branding is, right? When you pick up a can or a bottle of Coke, you don't expect it to taste like Mountain Dew. You expect it to taste like Coke. I've just bought this because I trust it's going to be what I went after. And so I think that in our personal development, I think that how are we able to build the trust in a quick way? But that comes over time as well, right?
Right. And you mentioned quick. So when we look at value and we look at it from a consumer's eyes, what do we really want? We want something done quickly. We want a good price, and then we want quality, but we don't ask for quality at first. We don't say, "Hey, listen, I'd really like a quality move. How much is it going to cost?" Yeah. We ask, "Well, how much is it going to cost to move?"
Right.
And I expect quality, but I'm expecting a low price. So one of the signs in one of my clients' offices that I coached years ago said, "Do you want it quick? Do you want it for a low price? Or do you want quality? Just pick 2 out of 3. That's all you get." And it was really interesting. It doesn't matter what 2 of the 3, you're going to have to sacrifice one of those, either a time or a price, if you pick quality.
Okay.
But how many times do we lack in quality to get that price and time? And I think that's where we really fight from a consumer standpoint. Hey, listen, I have to make sure my price is competitive. And I have to make sure that I'm doing this on a timely basis. Hopefully, we're always getting better. But are we suffering in that quality? And I think that's where brand awareness, the value comes in, and that's what we're all talking about. Because this, again, we talked about it off air. This is what we subscribe to. We didn't get into business to be lacking in quality or efficiency or effectiveness. We got into business to provide a service.
Okay, so let me ask this. A couple things. And you've heard me talk about this before, industry standards that so many people tout as their value. If I'm hiring anybody, I expect quality, right? That's just a given. I'm going to get good quality. I'm probably expecting it to be done in a timely manner. Those are my expectations, regardless of what check I'm writing to you.
Right.
So in building value, do we have to look past that a lot of times? I mean, shouldn't that just be our standard? We've got good quality. We've got good, all of the things that everybody would expect, depending on what our service is. Those are industry standards. We can't separate ourselves from other people, our competitors, if we're just focusing on the industry standards. Are there value adds that build quality to what we're trying to accomplish?
And I think that's one of the key, and I don't want to take from you guys, but when we're building quality, and that would be my key in about everything I do, because it's all relational. It's that quality right here. Again, we can work with quick and price all day long, but I think if I would improve on quality, would that help me attract the right people? Would that help me with a better marketing message? Would that help me in articulating, hey, listen, this is what you're going to get, because I've taken some time to become more self-aware and become a lot better person.
Yeah, I think long term it impacts your business in a positive way. I think it's the short term that a lot of business owners, a lot of people in service are struggling with, because they're trying to pay the bills, they're trying to keep the revenue coming, and so they're stretched thin, and they don't have the capital up front to invest in putting a team together that might be able to deliver the product that they want to deliver year 2, year 3. So it's a slower process, and so those are some tough decisions you have to make.
I think you're right.
That's great.
I think what I have seen too is that we get caught. We talked about the trap. We talked about proactive, reactive, and being in that trap. I think a lot of people get in that short-term trap, and then all of a sudden it becomes all about revenue. I've got to pay my bills next month, and so you start forgetting about building the foundation for long-term sustainability and growth. One of the things in talking about quality, and you mentioned being relational, okay? I've said that in every class I've ever taught. Are you transactional or are you relational? If you're thinking short-term, a lot of times you can get caught in that trap of being transactional. I've done it. I've had an electric bill I've got to pay. I have got to close a deal today. And then when I don't, and I look back at how that conversation went, I realized that what I was trying to do was serve myself and not serve them. So when we talk about quality and we talk about being relational, what about improving the quality of our relationship development? How important would that be, short-term and long-term? That goes to helping to establish and reinforce the trust factor, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's huge. And there has to be a conscious effort made to be relational, because, and this is my opinion, but I think in today's world, in the small business owner, entrepreneur, go-getter world, it's so important to stack sales, to stack POs, and marketing is directed at collecting POs. Your communication is directed at collecting POs. Your email drip campaign is directed at collecting POs. And it sounds old-fashioned, and I'm gonna come back to this in a moment. But what about the gentleman owns a business? Do you know his wife's name? Do you know what sports his kids play? It's the tiny little things which take effort. But what I'm seeing, the folks that do that, they embrace it, and guess what? That's free. It's free to be a decent human being. It really is.
No, you're right.
And it sounds old-fashioned.
But let me tell you where the value is in that, and I totally agree with you. And I saw this happen in 2008 when the real estate market crashed. I I'm a people watcher. I do it for entertainment. I do it for professional reasons. I study people. They're fascinating, and they're hilarious. But I studied in 2008 when the market crashed. Why did some succeed, even through the struggles of the market, and why did some just go away and go back to their past careers? And it came down to the point of the relationships that they had built and the genuine approach that they took to business. And I think that when you talk about what you're talking about, Adam, in being relational and getting to know them, I think that it's very hard to create wealth when you're constantly having to replace business relationships. You cannot accumulate wealth by replacing the 10 people that you did business with last month. You're flatlining.
Right.
And so in order to do that, you've got to take care of these people so that in 2 years, you're still doing business with them. And that should be part of our goal. And I think without getting onto a different subject like we have, but I think that one of the challenges that we all have, or one of the failures that we may have, is I don't think we plan this out. I think in our minds, we go, I'm going to be relational. I may even write down how I want to be relational, but I don't document what I did the past month in developing those relationships to see if I stayed on track or not. And then 6 months down the road, I go, why am I not keeping these people? And I look back and I'm like, well, I didn't have a designated plan. I had an idea. I had a thought, I had a wish, I had a dream, but I never really put it on paper and held myself to account in following that process.
Yeah, and I agree, and Adam, spot on that. And that's one of my goals for 2020, is going into 2020 to develop deeper relationships. I have a story when I wrote my book. A lot of self-awareness, a lot of things came out of it. Fantastic exercise. By the way, I believe everybody has a book. Just start writing. Even if you don't publish it, just write it. It's a fantastic exercise. Well, I wrote a thank you letter to two business people that impacted my life the most. And there were two distinct individuals. And they're both extremely wealthy. But the response I got back from each of them was just crazy. There was a huge divide there. One was extremely, well, I wish you well. I'm glad you wrote your book. Short, pretty cold, not really warm. The other person, oh wow, this is awesome. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Where can I get it? And thank you so much for the note. That really touched my heart. And do you realize that the second individual is where I made the most money? Because they had a culture of building deep relationships. The other one...
Well, they appreciate you.
The other one had a culture of transactions. I mean, all they wanted to do is look at the bottom line at the end of the month. If they were not, gaining on the number one person in that industry, they were frustrated. They were upset. And that was in the very beginning of my career out of college. So that's how I learned, unfortunately. That's what I learned by it. But then hitting the one later on in life when I figured out that relationships are the way to go. And to your point, Lyndon, I really do believe that people need to write it down. I don't think we write down. I think that we say, well, we're friendly, but I don't have a friendship.
What's our strategy?
I don't have a friendship strategy. But what are the questions I should ask? Should I ask about, are they married? Do they have children? What's going on? Some people are really gifted at it, and some of us need help.
All of us need help. Somewhere, somehow, all of us need a little bit. And I think, when we talk about the positive things in a person's life, I think that, and we're talking now, I guess, about the business-to-business relationships, obviously. But getting to know, what are their struggles, right? What are their struggles? Because I guarantee you that when you sit down and you communicate with someone that's in business, even in a different career path, they're going to have some of the challenges that you've had. You've got some challenges that they've had. They may have the solutions that you're looking for, but we don't communicate that. You and I talked last week, I believe it was last week, about the camaraderie, the mentorship, having these type of conversations and how that can be so revealing to us that the problem that I'm struggling with is not unique to me. It's unique to being an entrepreneur, being a self-employed, commission only, whatever it may be. The challenges are all there for all of us. And some people have figured it out. Some people have paid the price and gone through the pain, and they're now on the other side. But if we never communicate with them, develop those relationships, we're missing out.
Right.
Yeah, I think we have I think the market is full of great talkers, people that want to talk. I think the void is finding great listeners. And so all of us have something to say, right? And everybody wants to be heard, or most people do. But when you can become a good listener and you're truly and genuinely concerned and not being nosy, but you're just interested in people, it's interesting to find how many people will just talk to you and share with you and build that relationship with you rather than calling them up and always having something to say and then moving on because you're not present in that conversation. Being present with the people you're trying to do business with and let them talk and learn about them, I found are some of the best, relationships I have, not only in business but in life as well.
Yeah, what's the saying? No one cares how much you know till they know how much you care.
Yeah.
Right.
So true. So true. So we talked last week also about being proactive versus reactive. And I will carry that over. I want to get in this discussion now. Before we do, though, I am going to give some shout outs to some really special people. So if you guys will bear with me a minute, I want to talk, thank Sue Turk and Boston National Title as one of our sponsors. She's also a co-host occasionally on the show. Sue is vice president in sales of Boston National Title of Texas. She is a go-getter and a go-giver. She does so much for the people that she works with. She is relational. And for all of you out there, if you're looking for a title company to partner with, I recommend you get in touch with Sue. You can find her on our website. We've got all of her contact information there. Or our phone number is 214-906-4273. Once we get back to the office, I'm going to, in this live video or live feed, I'm also going to have their information posted in there. Next, Dane Wilson with Lender's Choice Credit Solution. I'm actually doing an event with them tonight. We're excited about that. Dane is my son. I tell you what, guys, it is amazing to get to share the stage and communicate with people and share that stage with your son. I am more than blessed to have that opportunity. Lender's Choice Credit Solutions is a credit repair company. They've been in business now for going on 5 years. Dane has probably 12 years experience in credit repair and one of the most highly respected credit repair companies in the DFW, Texas area. So if you're looking at a way to improve your standard of living without reducing the cost of living, improving your credit, that's one of the quickest ways to do it. You can see Dane's information on our website or call him at 214-307-4946. And then I want to give a shout out to Shannon Cagle and Payne Insurance. You guys that are running businesses out there need business insurance, whether you think so or not. You want to protect the things that you've worked so hard to build. So give Shannon a call. His number is 940-230-6054. Again, all their information is on our website. So are you guys, by the way. So if you're looking to partner with some people that can make some exceptional stuff happen, those are a few. We'll get to some more later. So let's talk now in building value. I want to talk about being proactive versus reactive. Appearance. I think we have three really things that are very important. You talked about appearance versus performance, proactive versus reactive, and then we have mediocre versus exceptional. I think they all parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Agree.
If you're looking at appearance, if that's your focus, and unfortunately social media is one of the best tools. There's never been a better time in the history of mankind to be able to generate revenue if you're not lazy. With social media, we have at our disposal the opportunity to reach billions of people every day. So when we talk about appearance, there's so many of us that are willing to use social media as a highlight film, to just show what's good in our life, what's great in our life, or how it looks like it should be. You know, and I actually know this to be true. I watched a real estate agent take a picture. I saw this happen. This is not a story that I heard. I was witness to this firsthand. Stand in front of a really expensive car and take a picture and then post that real estate has been really good to them. Any comment?
Probably not.
Like I said, it's very, very easy to look good.
And I've said that. I've said, and I'm not picking on the real estate industry, but I have said that real estate is one of the number one careers that you can fake success in. But the truth is, with social media nowadays, we can fake success in a lot of industries. And, you know, when we're talking about value, faking success is not, there's no value there if you're having to do that. We talked the other day about the fake it till you make it mentality.
Right.
Let's talk about that and then go into this. So I think I was talking on the phone to you guys the other day, and we were talking about the fake it till you make it mentality and how it's been embraced now. You know, when I was first coming up, I was taught that you fake it till you make it for yourself, not for anybody else. I'm not trying to fool you. I'm just trying to build my own self-confidence, the belief that I can go out and close this deal, make this sale, maybe walk into it's more about our self-confidence than anything else. Okay. I can walk into this office of CEOs and have a conversation with them because I have, in my mind, I've created a mindset that I am successful. I can do this. Right. But it looks like the fake it till you make it mentality has gone completely all the way into what our substance of our business is. What do you guys think about that? Am I on point? I mean, am I off? Tell me if I'm wrong.
Excuse me. That I think that has morphed somehow with social media, and it has become fake it that you're making it.
Yeah.
You know, and guess what? That doesn't pay any bills.
No.
You know, and there are businesses that I see that don't have the budget to run a media an advertising campaign, and so they take it upon themselves, and they'll even spend large amounts of their revenue, real revenue that they're making, to look bigger than they are. And I think this creates a real problem, because we talked about that reciprocal business, you know, the repeat business, and you can name an industry, right?
Right.
You will stay in business. You can pay bills by stacking POs, but you build wealth by stacking clientele, people.
That's true.
Real people, and so they are so focused on spending dollars to look good that you do stack POs. You can very quickly, and then it gets out what your product is. And the bigger you are, the faster that gets out. The bigger your social media footprint, then the faster that word spread. And we see people, especially in the home industry, you know, with working with 2,000 small businesses in the home industry in Dallas, we see people skyrocket, and they purchase 10,000 Instagram followers, and they buy their Yelp rating or fill in the blank, and they look fantastic, and they cannot produce what they are showing that they are. And guess what? That following becomes real when it comes to talking behind closed doors.
So what's the solution to that?
I think it would go back to the small business owner. The individual is the brand. And so that personal development, that focus on self and building relationships, lasting relationships, the success will come. And it's very hard. We're all impatient. I'm probably the worst. We're all impatient. The success will come when we do things the right way. And I'm continually impressed by extremely wealthy people, extremely successful people that I meet in this industry that are just good folks. You know, I saw Mark Cuban on Shark Tank the other night, and the sharks were talking about the new fad of taking a nap at work. And Mark Cuban said, "I'm fine if my employees take a nap at work, as long as they're still at 9 o'clock when I'm there." and I'm just always energized by that guy and stuff that I see highly successful people doing. They're in front, you know, they are the brand. They're out there building the relationships and putting in the hours and doing those things to be the face.
Yeah, the culture starts at the top. I mean, no doubt.
It does. You talked about being out front, and we talked about being proactive versus reactive. Okay, and I think that a proactive approach to all that we're doing is going to put you out front. One is you're anticipating problems, right?
Should be.
Rather than just reacting to them.
Correct.
What produces the most value in your business, and what would cost the most, proactive or reactive?
Well, I believe reactive is going to cost a lot more.
Why is that?
Well, one, you're just waiting for things to happen, and then you're reacting towards them. Versus, and James, I want to pull back in what you said in the very beginning. Was, you know, there are people that get stuck with, you know, we have bills, we have pressures, we have anxieties, we have stresses, we have home relationships, and those can go crazy. Or we might have a family member or traveling that is, you know, wasn't planned. And we have a lot of those stressors. But, and back to Lyndon's point on the proactive side, you know, how do we become more proactive on the miscellaneous? But we already know that, hey, listen, bills are going to come. Families get messy. Relationships get messy. All of these things happen. And the more, I believe, the more aware I am of those items or my shortcomings or my weaknesses or my faults, if I'm more aware of that, then it allows me to position myself as proactive. But proactive to me doesn't mean perfect.
No.
Proactive means, hey, listen, I might have this crazy struggle that I'm having, but I need a group of business owners, a group of people that I can go to and call on, you know, at 11 o'clock at night and say, hey, listen, I've got to vent. I've got to share some things because I'm struggling here. So
Right.
I think that to me is important, to be able to understand stresses, understand those things helps me become a little bit more proactive.
So what do you guys think about when we're looking at proactive versus reactive, and reactive putting you more into alignment with mediocrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're just reactive, you're waiting, and your competition, if they're proactive, are passing you by because they're thinking forward.
Being proactive creates efficiency. So because being proactive, you have to plan, you have to have a vision, you have to have identified the potential problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you identify what the potential problems are, then you put a plan in place. That doesn't mean those problems aren't going to happen, but you put a plan in place where you're not scrambling when something comes up, right?
Right.
And so that goes into planning, and I think that's where you cut cost. You're not constantly picking up the mess that your business creates, or that you might create. And so if you're proactive, it's going to save you money, it's going to save you time, and it's going to get you in a position to focus on building your business rather than continually fixing problems.
It's kind of the Murphy's Law thing. If something can go wrong, it probably will.
Mm-hmm.
So as a coach, did you ever in your game plan anticipate, once you're in a game, how the other team's coaches are going to respond to what you're doing?
Yeah, you're always planning against their adjustments.
So you're going into a game plan.
Right.
You've got yours.
Yeah.
But just in case they do this, or
Yeah.
just in case they do that, or if they respond this way at halftime, you're already prepared for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
What if you were just reactive? You get your butt kicked.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, Nick Saban, I know some guys that coach there and or that did, and he would have them prepare on offense for 5 different defenses, even if that team had never shown on film that they were going to run a certain defense. So I'd say he's the king of being proactive.
I agree. So let me ask this. We talked about the trap. I think that there's a trap where we become reactive. I think it probably is probably what he said earlier about the bill pay. I think that we get caught and we're so consumed with what's right in front of us that it is sometimes hard. How do we break the trap? How do we get out of the trap? What makes the difference of getting out of the trap of mediocrity being reactive. Because I mean, in what I do, I know you see it, we all see it. It just seems like some people are comfortable being uncomfortable. Right?
Right.
They because they're used to what they have tomorrow. If I just stay here, being proactive is going to get me out of this comfort zone. And I've said this before, comfort zone is not comfortable. You become used to being uncomfortable. So what's the answer for these people out there that are listening that want to transition from being mediocre and find exceptionalism? They want to go from being reactive to proactive. What would be the first step?
I think first is being able to find your quiet time. We've got to master the art of being quiet in order to navigate the noise. I am a firm believer that a lot of times we're reactive or prone to become more reactive is because we're following all the shuffling, the noise. The noise is rampant now in our society. I'm going to go a little bit more into personal development here. But if you would take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes and you could just sit down and be quiet, you don't have to say a word, take a notepad, dump your thoughts on there, flip that notepad over. They're still going to be there. It's fine. But I really believe that if we would do that, then we can begin to process thoughts better. We can see things better. We hear things differently. We're not on that reactive. So it takes the edge off if you can be quiet.
Okay.
I think that's super important. And I can see that in myself. If I'm not very, very careful, you sit down at the desk at 7 a.m, and before you know it, you haven't eaten lunch, and it's 3 o'clock, and you still didn't accomplish anything because it's one fire to the next. And that's very, very easy to do. And I think along with finding that quiet place, that quiet moment to reflect and collect is also something that I think is a little lost, and that's being content. Mm-hmm. Being happy with who you are and where you are. And I think that's important for the small business owner to continue to teach themselves and preach to themselves is I am a good person because I do good work. I do quality work. I'm proud of what I do, and I'm content with my business. I'm happy with my business. Not satisfied. I want more. I think any successful individual wants more. But to be truly happy with your station in life and who you are and where you're at takes that pressure off to fake it, right?
Good point.
And if I'm truly happy with who I am and where I'm at, I can have true relationships even with my clients because I'm just a genuine, authentic person. I'm not trying to sell them something. I'm here, you're here. You need a service, I provide a service. So we know that there's a transaction to be had. So now let's be decent human beings to each other. And that pressure of being happy where you're at, being content, I think would take a lot of that necessity to fake and to do what everybody else is doing and to be as good as this guy or that guy. You know, I told you guys I saw a meme the other day. It took me 20 years to learn how to solve your problem in 3 minutes. You owe me for the years, not the minutes. And so if you're building upon, you shouldn't expect to be where the guy next door in the same business is in a bigger house and a bigger car and more employees and better insurance. He's been doing it longer or doing it better. Maybe there's something to learn.
But we're in a microwave society.
Exactly. We want it now.
Yeah.
If I can buy it, I'll buy it. I don't want to have to do it.
As
Right.
far as just some big picture stuff, I think businesses, whether they're businesses with a lot of employees or whether it's just the business of a realtor or a mortgage broker, I think the ones that I see that are the most successful in my industry and other industries in the home industry are those who are organized, those who understand what their business, what business they want. Not all clients are good clients. not all moves in our business are good moves.
Right.
They take you away from your core, and now you're chasing business to pay those bills, and you expose yourself now to more liability, big waste of time. And so you have to be somewhat selective as a business. I mean, McDonald's is selective, right? They're not trying to compete with the burger joint, the gourmet burger joint down the street that charges $12 for a burger. They know who they are. They've established their identity. They're fine with that. They're not advertising that they're the best burger in town, right? But there's a market for that. And so I find in our business, we've got movers that are all over the map. They're trying to be the mover that goes into the person with a 5,000 square foot home that needs packing, storage, and unpacking. And then they're trying to move the person on a $200 budget in an apartment. And it's hard to do that. It really is.
Right.
And so I think people who are comfortable with their identity of their business or who they are in real estate, and they're organized in their thoughts, and they stick true to their plan, those people are the ones you can get value out of. Those are the ones that seem the most content. Those are the ones that aren't chasing the competition, so to speak, competition on Facebook and keeping up with the Joneses.
You mentioned core. You've talked a lot about core values.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I was going to ask you.
Well, you go ahead, because I that's what I was, honestly, swear to God, I was going there. It's just funny how all this has fallen, but you described that better. So take that one, Brian.
So one of the core values, James, and I talk about this quite often, when you create that organization, that structure, that plan, that vision, but you know who you are, your core value system, it basically creates boundaries. The principle I go with is guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. So when you're guarding your heart, basically you have a rib cage. You have a rib cage around your heart. Your heart goes up to the rib cage. It shouldn't go out because you'll get heart broke, heart sick. And you allow people to come in to a certain extent. And once they come to the rib cage, oh, no, wait, we're not getting in there, because it's a boundary. We're actually guarding that. So I think that is an incredible point, and I think it's critical. Also, Adam, when you said be happy and content, I'm writing down notes, because I learn in every situation I'm in, which is exciting. But being quiet, being happy, and being able to have your core values, we've just created a filter system, and now we've created a gauge of, hey, listen, I'm content. I'm not necessarily satisfied. I want to grow, but I'm happy, and I'm a happy person. And the way I got happy was I was able to sit down and just be quiet and not go crazy. And I've had people that can't sit down for 5 minutes and be quiet. They're like, well, Brian, I'm too ADHD. Maybe and maybe not. Mm-hmm. You could watch a football game for 4 hours, but you can't sit down there and be quiet. I have a hard time believing that needs medicine.
Right.
But anyway, no, to your point, the organization, the core values are key, and that's one of the things that I go with in the very beginning when I'm working with someone, is let's establish that core. I want to know, who you are.
And so let's go back. When we first started, you talked about appearance versus performance. Right. If you don't know who you are, if you're struggling to find your identity, and you're going to throw that out on social media, this is who I'm trying to be today. Who responded? How many likes did I get? Not enough likes. So I'm going to reinvent myself tomorrow on social media and see how many likes I get. You're searching for that big number to tell yourself who you really are. Mm-hmm. And that's impossible, because now you're just trying to please other people. And I think that when we talk about personal development, knowing your core values, and this is something that in the classes that I've sat through that you've taught, I think that is where it starts. Who are you? Define yourself. Who do you want to work with? Who do you not want to work with? Who's going to be a problem for you? Who is someone that's just going to make your life miserable? Partner, client, whatever it may be. If they don't fit your core values, then it's okay to say no.
Right.
I think that we get into situations sometimes where our businesses become miserable because we don't say no to the people we need to say no to, and we find ourselves in a very nasty
reactive spot. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess when we're talking about that, it would need to start with core values, right? I think core values, learning who you are. Do you want to be exceptional, or are you fine with being mediocre?
Is that a question or a statement?
Well, I'm not accusing you. I'm just it's both. I mean, why there's just so many out there that just seem to be content. You use that word, with mediocrity, but yet still complain a lot.
Right. So if contentment's followed by a complaint, is it based out of fear or based out of love?
Ask that again.
If contentment is followed by complaining.
I love everything about my job, but I hate this.
Is it based out of fear or based out of love?
I don't know. Based out of frustration.
It would be based out of frustration or fear.
And why is that?
Well,
we don't know who we are.
We don't know who we are, and one of the stressors that we didn't bring up. But what about our societal changes? As far as culture, or what if I did tell the truth, or what if I did turn down that person? I might not get another client, which is totally fear-based. So when I've worked with people, I call out the fear immediately, because fear just leads into more of you being a prisoner of your own mind. And when you can step out in faith and you can operate and function in love, what happens is you want to be exceptional. You want to be the very best person you can be. But when I'm content, then I can enclose myself, basically isolate myself, and build that quote unquote false barrier or false system that's protecting me. And it's really not protecting you, because we just go about complaining all the time.
Yeah. So when we're talking about core values, and we're determining who we are and the people that we want to have pursue us and we pursue, and then we mentioned having that client or customer or partner that we become reactive to. Having those core values can eliminate that up front, right? That's being more proactive. Because I am immediately going to see if we're being relational, if I'm focused on being relational with you, and I'm basing what I'm trying to build that relationship on my core values, do we align? If we don't align, what are the chances that there's going to be a reactive confrontation at some point in time?
Right. So one of my core values, and I'll be quiet here in a second.
No, go ahead.
One of my core values is truth. I mean, that's number one thing. Tell me the truth, I can handle it. It might be hard, it might suck at times, but if you will tell me the truth, I at least have something to work on and build from. Tell me a lie, it is all a mess up there. So I was going through, years ago, I was working with a client. I didn't go over my core values with them. The time came where we were all doing our core values. They're like, well, don't you have to lie a little? That lying helps your customer. You don't want to tell them all the truth. And right there was this major divide. I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to refer you, and I definitely don't want to help you get better at lying. So I was in a real tough spot. And at the end of the day, it was a week later. I'm like, I just don't think this relationship's going to go any further. I wish you the best. Hope you do well. And that was it. But it was a core value.
So was that kind of the word you use all the time? Did it kind of get icky?
It did get icky. Relationships are messy. And, even a good relationship's messy. But that just did not set with me at all.
And I think it's important that we define our core values, who we are as an individual, and then we're going to take that to business, right? And now my business, moving company, roofing company, whatever it is, my business is going to be based on these values.
Because they're going to represent you that way, right?
Now we're going to take the next step and put that into the business model, and then I can accurately communicate that to potential clients. And where we don't align, I can anticipate those problems and be proactive versus reactive, because we already don't agree here on something. And so this is going to be a problem. So let's tell the truth and say we're probably not the best fit for each other.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with
It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them wrong and you right, or you wrong and them right.
Exactly. We're just not a good fit.
We're not compatible, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
Having a compatible relationship, whether it's a customer client or whether it's a business partner, you're looking for compatibility. And in order to do that, you've got to establish those core values. First, you got to know who you are,
Correct.
who you want to be, and where you're going. That in itself is proactive. And if you're not taking that step, then there's going to be some challenges. Want to start wrapping up now. I want to thank some more people. Bally Mendels with Supreme Lending. Whether you are a new home buyer or real estate agent looking for an exceptional mortgage lender, you need to look at Bally Mendels with Supreme Lending. First-time purchases, second home purchases, refinancing, FHA, VA, conventional, all of it. Bally's got it. Bally is the loan officer that cares. Most of you know what that means. And you can reach her at 469-955-9315. Her NMLS number, because we have to say that, is 621032. We also have Kelly Houston, a.k.a. the Goosehead Lady. She's owner of Goosehead Agency, and wants you to know one thing: trust equals peace of mind. See how that fits? It's so natural. Kelly has been in the insurance industry and knows how to find the insurance policy that is going to protect you the best. And knowing that you can trust her to make sure that happens is going to allow you to sleep easy at night. You can reach the Goosehead Lady, Kelly Houston, at 940-222-5599. And finally, actually not finally, we have Brian Poduska with Real Property Management Focus. He is the owner and president of Real Property Management Focus out of Frisco, Texas, right here in Frisco, Texas. And it is the nation's leading residential property management firm. So if you're looking for someone to help you with some properties that you manage, you can reach Brian at 469-820-0088. And finally, a real good longtime friend of mine, Josh Small with WeatherTech General Contracting. You've worked with him a little bit.
Working with him right now.
Awesome. You guys have both stepped up and done some amazing things for some of the people that have really been hit by the most recent tornado, and really happy to see that.
Josh does a great job. The care that he puts into it and the sincerity that I've seen him work with his clients, and just I don't know if this is all of his clients, but the ones we're working with right now are elderly and single, and he's doing a fantastic job. These people have been disrupted and put out by the storm, obviously, and it's been amazing to see him work with them.
And I really can't say enough about all the sponsors that we have and all you guys. Just your core values, and the way that you do put the consumer first and the people that you're trying to help. I'm really honored to be able to be not only your friend, but to be able to sit at the table with you and have the other sponsors as well. You guys have anything else before I wrap this up and we get out of here? We got a couple of minutes. Nothing? So core values.
Core values.
Learn who you are first.
Right.
Where you want to go. Then be strategic in who you're partnering with.
Build relationships. Deep relationships.
Yeah, all business isn't good business for you.
No, that's true.
Correct.
Well, I mean, if you're going in and it's going to be a challenge, is it worth that bad review? I mean, I used to say when I was in credit repair, one person's enrollment is not worth my reputation.
Right.
So if I knew there was going to be a problem before I ever got started, I didn't get started. I declined. Just it wasn't worth the trouble.
And that's where it comes from, defining yourself and your business up
and
front.
Staying true to yourself.
And communicating that and sticking with that. And problems will show themselves before they happen.
Yes.
And you can.
And that's valuable, right? That is
Absolutely.
valuable. Okay. So we want to thank you all for tuning in today. Hopefully, you guys that are listening found some ideas that can change and increase your value to your customers, your partners, and your industry as a whole. Next week, we have a brand new set of co-hosts. We're going to be talking about accountability. It's a word everybody talks about. Not a lot of people do. And how it can make the difference when it comes to competitive challenges and being a business owner or a realtor. So don't forget to comment on this show right here. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, check out our website at #thedifference.com. And so from all the folks at KVGI and The Difference, these guys here, we appreciate you tuning in today. Don't forget, you can never make a difference until you're consistent in doing the things that make the difference. And until next week, and everything that you do, the difference is you.